welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. Feel comfortable. This is a free space. Feel loved. Subscribe if you're new, please. Thank you. Today, I have decided to be as vulnerable enough as to share some of my greatest mistakes, but I choose to call them lessons because they have taught me an enormous amount of things. So let's get into the video.
Stay with it, please.
When I was a teenager, I found myself victimizing myself in relationships a lot. So what I mean is I would constantly complain about what people are doing to me. And the conversation is, she hurt me, he hurt me, he made me feel this way, he caused me this pain, he did this, he did this, she did this, she did the other. I had a series of relationships, in my past, which went south, but every time I would think I'm getting out of a horrible relationship into a new one, it would end up being the same story and then the same one. I had 4 patterns, just every time I get hurt, I get hurt, I get hurt, I get hurt. It's like I was never learning. But I realized that it's because I used to victimize myself a lot. Rarely would I ever sit down and be like, okay, so what role did I play here to cause myself to go through this? What could I have done differently? Could I have set more clearer boundaries? Could I have communicated my needs and wants more clearly? What could I have done to prevent ABC from happening? Sometimes you can be a victim of, say, narcissistic abuse or psychopathic abuse or whatever, and that can feel like, yes, you are the victim and you're allowed to call yourself the victim. But sometimes also it's important to just sit there and be like, what could I have really done differently? I feel like the greatest mistake I made, I caused myself a lot of pain, by the way, as a result of that, because all through my primary and high school life, I was constantly getting into friendships and relationships where I'm just getting hurt every time. And the story would always be, but she did this. How dare she hurt me this way? How dare he hurt me this way? Never did I ever question my role in the relationships I was in. So that is a very great lesson I have learned now. And I'm learning to understand that relationships are mirrors of who we are deep down in our souls. The relationship you have with yourself will be reflected by the relationships you have with people. So the things that you find yourself loving the most in people, most times than not, you admire and love them about yourself. And the things which you find yourself constantly questioning and getting triggered or getting easily mad at them because of, those are the things that you also don't like about yourself. Relationships are merely just mirrors, and it's important to just sit and see what part, what role do you play in every one of your relationships. And I'm not just talking about it from a romantic point of view, even platonic friendships, the relationship you have with your parent, what is your role in there? You guys, I know I sound a bit muffled. I am nursing a very tough cough, so pardon me. It's just been really cold lately, and I'm getting flus, coughs. There's a whole cold going round. My apologies. Those things you do in your life and you look back and you're really like, Ivy, what were you thinking? This is one of those. I tried so hard to fit in. In high school, I always felt like the odd one out. I felt like people didn't like me, and even those who liked me weren't really my friends. Because girls' high schools, you'd hear a lot of rumors about me from people who I considered even my friends. I felt betrayed most times by people who I considered my friends in high school. So when I graduated to university, I had given myself this sort of expectation to fit in and to belong to a particular social group. And in my first year of campus, I did a good job. And the thing with trying so hard to fit in is in this circle of friends, you don't fit in. That your interests don't match. That your thoughts don't align. That your futures don't align. But you still stay there for the validation it gives you. Yes, as human beings, we do feel the urge to belong, and that is completely normal. But when you feel the urge to belong to a set of like friends or social groups, and yet these people aren't like pouring into your cup, and not to mean that they could be horrible people, of course not, it's just a misalignment, you know. I always felt like the odd one out in so many situations, and so a big mistake I made when I came to university was trying so hard to fit into groups that I felt weren't for me from the get-go, but I just kept trying. And the thing is, you keep getting hurt. These people who I'm trying so hard to impress and to be friends with and to hang out with, we don't resonate in when it comes to most things. Most of the stories they talk about, I don't find myself resonating with the same kind of narratives and perspectives. Nothing against them. They are beautiful human beings. Honestly, they are beautiful human beings. But we just don't align, you know, like we are not compatible. That is the word. And that's the thing. I was trying so hard to fit into something that didn't even align with who I really am. And that's why I believe self-awareness is very important, because when I got to that place of really understanding who I really am, I decided, you know what, if I'm not gonna have friends, it's fine. It's okay for me to even self-isolate for a while, to dig in deep, to be able to set intentions on the kind of friends I want in my life, on the kind of people I would like to be surrounded by. And I feel like those relationships which I was trying so hard, they costed me a lot of energy, a lot of my time, a lot of pain, and the worst of them all is the fact that I would question myself, I would question my identity, because I just didn't feel like I belonged to all these other people. How comes they can agree and I don't feel like I fit into this specific social group? And I feel like it's such an unnecessary pressure when we are young to want to fit in and to be with friends and to be with, it's so unnecessary, you know, like sometimes you can just be on your own and really just work life on your own. And as you work life on your own, believe me, you will meet that person who is compatible with you. You'll meet that friend who gets you on a deep level, who connects with you and who understands you. But as you rush into the whole choose me kind of scenario, it's a lot. And I wish I knew. This is like one of those moments where I look back and I'm like, I could have known better. But you know what? I learned even more. I think social media played a very huge role in this next point I'm about to mention, because I really felt like I wanted that quick success, the quick money and the quick riches and the wealth and the flashy cars, everything. I don't think I quite realized what goes behind success. And not to say that it is beyond me, it's not. I know I'm successful, I know I'm rich, I'm luxurious, I'm wealthy. But like what social media portrays on our eyes is, you see Murugumunyi just bought a Discovery and you're like, wow, I could buy a Discovery too. But you see, she doesn't sit there in that same post to tell you all the nights that she had maybe self-doubt, or the number of times she had to practice persistence when things didn't look like they were working out. We see all this success being portrayed on social media by content creators and influencers, and we imagine that success is gonna be this thing you just embark on and you do these affirmations, you know, you do this kind of manifestation and boom, kapish kapow, here goes your wealth, luxury and success. Honey, I learned the hardest way. I really thought that I was gonna start my YouTube channel and in the first 3 months I was gonna blow up and whoa, my life changes. But that was a huge mistake. That was a very negative perspective, because I did not quite understand what goes into success. That a very key ingredient of success is really persistence. It's those times when you look around and nothing seems to be working out, but you cannot stop. You cannot give up. You have to keep going. And And those are just one of those times I look back and I'm like, I wish I knew. It takes time, it takes a lot of work, and it takes you being there every fucking day, even when it doesn't look like it's worth it. And I think the key thing I did not understand about manifestation really is the thing about time. You're not supposed to look at your goals like something that's happening in the future. You're supposed to see your goals as something that is in the present, now, because this is where source energy is. And that's why when you write your script, you say, I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I am making this amount of money on YouTube in the current moment. The mistake I made is I was seeing my manifestation like this thing that is gonna happen in December next year or September next year, until I learned that those times when you find yourself imagining or thinking about your success or seeing yourself in that Mercedes or in that G-Wagon or in that Jeep, those times you see yourself and you visualize yourself there, it is happening. My goals and dreams are here right now. They are within me. It's right here. It's not supposed to be something you're seeing that is in the far future from you. It's here. It has already happened. And shifting my perspective that way really changed things for me, because I no longer feel the urge to chase or run after my desires, because I realize my desires desire me as much as I desire them, and so they are here with me right now. I don't need to chase, I don't need to find them, I don't need to wait. They're here. And I think realizing that for me really opened my eyes. But the greatest mistake I made was to imagine that it was gonna be this quick success, because that led to me being very disappointed, and also imagining that my manifestations are in the future, that my goals and dreams are in the future. My goals and dreams are here with me right now. Me seated here, I'm a successful YouTuber already. I'm abundant, I am wealthy, I am luxurious. Vulnerability isn't bad. You just need to know who is worth it. Opening up and allowing yourself to connect, allowing yourself to be loved and to love isn't bad. It just becomes bad when you open up to the wrong people. It's important to use your intuition to know who is the right person to be vulnerable with. And I found myself in situations where I've opened up to people and I ended up regretting it, maybe because they shamed me for it or they made me feel some type of way because of being vulnerable. So I think the biggest lesson I learned as a result of this is to be able to use my intuition as a map to tell me who is the right person, who is worth me being emotionally vulnerable, and me allowing myself to connect, and me allowing myself to love and to be loved. Who is worth it? That is the question, because you can't move around being vulnerable to anybody. And for me, considering that I'm emotionally very sensitive, I have found myself in situations where I open up to people and then I end up regretting it, or what we call oversharing. You've done that before? Yeah, I know. And it feels horrible after that, and you just feel like you just wanna remain closed off to everything and everyone, but you can't do that. So the biggest lesson I have learned as a result of this is, number one, to be very, very cautious on who I choose to open up to, on who I choose to connect with, on who I choose to love, and who I choose to be loved by. The next thing it's taught me, if I have been vulnerable before and I have been shamed or embarrassed for doing that, it is easy for this to cloud me in my future relationships, where now I will not be comfortable opening up to other people who deserve me because of the things I have been through in the past. Then it opens up a whole other chapter of healing for me. And then sometimes when you make a mistake on choosing who to be vulnerable with, be easy with yourself. When you overshare, just relax. It's okay. It's a mistake you've made. You've learned something. In this moment, take those risks. Do those things that excite you, and if it means making mistakes, accept those mistakes with an open heart, knowing that those mistakes have taught you much greater lessons. And out of personal experience, I have realized that the biggest mistakes, those mistakes that cost you a lot, those mistakes that cost you a lot of emotional pain and damage, those mistakes that make you want to rip your heart out, those are the mistakes that give you the greatest lessons of your life. I promise you. Those are my mistakes. I was vulnerable enough to share with you. You tell me down below. Everyone has had failures, mistakes. I choose to call them lessons because that's exactly what they are. I love you. Thank you so much. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one. Mwah! Bye. Please pray for my cold to end. Bye.